The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter. The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. You're welcome to Leadership Podcast. And of course, on Leadership TV today, we have another edition of your very favorite program. A program that keeps you upbeat, gives you updates of issues of national importance going on and around the country. We are talking of the big issue. As usual, I am your regular host, George Agba is my name, and with me here in the studio is our in-house analyst, a political analyst, Chibuzo Okaibe.
Thank you very much, Mr. George.
Well,
It's a pleasure to be here.
Before going into the big issue of the day, which is Senator Abdullahi Adamu's ouster as chairman of the governing All Progressive Congress and the fate of the party, let's just quickly take one issue in the news. Nigerians woke up today to the announcement that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has further jacked up pump prices of petrol from 537 naira to 617 naira per litre. In May, after President Tinubu was sworn in as president of Nigeria, the nation was actually thrown into a kind of hardship when subsidy was removed in line with the president's pronouncement during his inaugural speech that subsidy for petroleum product was gone. And of course, the development was occasioned by serious hardship, the hike in transport fare, and even food items and other very, very critical items for use were completely hiked. And today, we are hearing that fuel has gone up again from 537 to 617 naira. Nigerians are alarmed. The situation has sparked outrage. The roads are free. Where traffic was cut off by half, now means that there will be no vehicle also, or maybe only government vehicles on the road, or vehicles meant for hungry days. People were in trouble in this country.
It is. These are very trying moments for every Nigerian. Of course, immediately the president said subsidy was gone, we saw all of the reactions that trade does that pronouncement. He has said it. He has gone in a certain direction that those before him were not too confident, to follow through with, even though most of them, made comments about how corrupt that sector is. But he has done it, and this is where we are. The concern really is not so much about, the subsidy removal, but what government needs to do to ensure that the impact is not as crushing as we're experiencing right now. The president has said he feels our pain and that we should be a little more patient with him. That things are going to get better. That what we expect to get at the end of the at the other side of the subsidy to supersede what we're experiencing
Experiencing.
at the moment and even before now. But the problem is there's no clarity as to that. If you are telling somebody to tighten the belt and wait and all of that, at least there should be timelines. The body language of the executive also has to reflect the notion that they understand what the people are going through. They've not reduced the. I've not. I don't think the executive has reduced the lavish lifestyle around, you know, um, the government and their personnel. I don't think that has happened.
No cutting of
No
cost of
cutting of cost of
governance.
governance. Even in the National Assembly, even the judiciary, nothing of sort has happened. And yet you keep telling people to be patient.
And then the
Mm.
palliative of 500 billion
Exactly.
naira, where
It's
12 million houses will get 8,000 naira. How would it help the common man?
many people thought we would have gone beyond the haze that clouded what happened under the Buhari government, where they just came and said we're giving social billion to to the poorest of the poor. And it was difficult to really pinpoint and say, okay, this is they couldn't show a clear methodology on how that was done. And now we are doing
Almost the same thing.
almost the same thing again, all over again. It's really intriguing. It's really
Well, Chibuzo, I'm beginning to see a situation where very soon in the market that's now will be retailing this fuel. Instead of waiting for cars to go to the filling station, you start seeing a situation where they'll have retailers everywhere. Come in, even on go slow, please buy fuel. This one is
yes,
this one is cheap. Because what I'm saying so Chibuzo is that according to reports, the average daily petrol consumption has fallen to 48.43 million liters, that's 13 million gallons in June, down from previous average of 66.9 million, 48.43 million. That's as figures released to the to news agencies by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory. So at the end of the day, you see a situation. If you observe, you see the roads are clear.
yeah.
No traffic. That means the consumption of petrol has dropped. And people have told themselves that petrol or no petrol, we must survive. This car, park here 1st.
Mhm.
We'll always find our way out. And it will be like this. And at the end of the day, even the petrol itself will now become a lucrative business because people will understand that just like what we see in London, US, and other developed countries where you hardly see cars everywhere.
And,
People prefer to go.
but this issue has
So the
also
problem will be about our transport system.
Yeah,
Unlike
exactly. But it has thrown up something critical also. Maybe a revisit to the data on what we really consume. Because now products that used to be smuggled out of the country are no longer lucrative. I don't know, in the past people will say, okay, we brought this number of liters, but they end up not being
serviced.
not being used by Nigerians. They bring them in and then they push them to neighboring countries where they make a huge killing after collecting subsidies on the product which was supposed to be used for Nigeria. So the reduction too is not just about people dropping their cars, but because that aspect of that aspect that subsidy has taken off has also reduced the smuggling of these products outside our border. So it has its good side and it also has its bad side. But I think the bottom line is, like you pointed out, ensuring that the facilities are on ground to ensure that you know people don't get to suffer transport problems.
Of course.
We should have been seeing by now a clear roadmap for transportation, clear roadmap for other critical sectors. Okay, good. The president has declared food on insecurity, emergency on
Emergency
food.
of food insecurity, food security,
Yes,
insecurity.
exactly. Fine, but we have to see clear, outlines and clear moves on how that is going to be done. What is he going to do in the agricultural sector? What is he going to do through the agricultural value chain? What is he going to do with insecurity? Because it's also tied to it. Can farmers now go back to their farms to have to work to grow crops and supply, the market? So there are a number of things that we really need to see. It's not just enough to declare, what some of these things. We need to see fit on it. And that is why it is worrisome that as of this time, we still don't have the ministerial, thing clearly spelled out. Because if you had ministers on ground, then it shows the direction and the pace with which you are going to go. But as we speak, the National Assembly has been there for more than a month now, or thereabout, and we still don't. They don't still don't
heads
have
of ministries.
Ministries are still
And agencies are not there to actually.
These are signals that shouldn't be coming from an executive that has taken such drastic move by removing subsidy and turning the economy and other sectors in a very very turbulent state as it were.
Most Nigerians are of the view that they are beginning to understand what Tinubu meant when he said they should be patient with his baby steps. Buhari, former president, was being referred to as Baba go slow.
So now you have
Tinubu, in his own case, he's taking baby steps. Yeah. I don't know how we'll be able to get there because the whole thing now is beginning to tell us.
He didn't promise us baby steps when he was campaigning.
And then my prayer is that the patience of Nigerians should not be at an end because there's a way this thing will go, they will explode.
Exactly.
The typical Nigerian does not want to be dragged too much. The idea of this fuel even hiking up, almost tripling, and we have buying fuel for 537, some will sell for 542 and the rest. They were just bearing it. So I think anything that must end well must start on the note where we will know that at least they say no pain, no gain, all those things. They absorbed it. And instead of them to start seeing where that increment will start helping matters, and then they, in as much as they have settled down with it and they are struggling, then you now come again to raise them by hiking the fuel again. They won't take it lightly this time around.
It's interesting
because you can't say you want to kill us. Then after we die before things will get better.
No, but no. It depends on how you things. Is not nothing. There's nothing wrong in saying things has to get. Not so.
Sorry, before we go, I think so that you add this to what we are going to say now. We have Ricketts Oluwarotimi. Is that it? Ricketts Oluwarotimi. One of our viewers out there is commenting, and this is what Oluwarotimi has to say. He said, fuel price hike is a big burden to the masses. Sentiments apart, Abdullahi.
Okay, he has jumped into the next topic.
Abdullahi should be made. Okay,
it means Abdullahi.
Okay, Abdullahi, the APC national chairman,
the former APC national chairman.
Okay, for the fuel subsidy, it's a big burden to the masses. But let's even see what he said about the SYLAPC national chairman before, even though we have not gone to the issue, which is the big issue. He said, Abdullahi, that is Adamu, should be made to account for every kobo he spent during his tenure. He was the one who increased the form fees during APC presidential primary. Lack of good accountability is one of the major problems facing this country. Of course, I think Oluwarotimi has a point too in that the issue of the former national chairman, because I think one of the issues against him is about accountability. An audit report that shows the discrepancy in the finances of the party, which was meant to account for. I think these are the things that really were put together to actually remove him, whether he was removed because of his mismanagement of the party, or he is just being a mere victim of political vendetta. That is what we will come to look at. Though we are still on fuel subsidy, which is one of the issues in the news. I think that is all now for fuel subsidy. Nigerians are angry, and in the coming days, I think the protest will start because adding salt upon injury by increasing the price of petroleum product that was increased recently, tripling the price. Nigerians are battling to bear the whole brunt of and quietly, and now they are now coming again with another increment. It is, you are getting to a point where you just like a local saying said that there's a way you push a goat to the wall, and when they over push it, it will turn back and fight. That is what we'll be seeing in the coming days. But for now, we'll go to the big issue. But before we do that, let's just quickly take a short break so that we do some little announcement and create some awareness. And by the time we come back, we go into the big issue properly. Don't go offline. We'll be back in a moment.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We're still on the Big Issue in Leadership podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is Abdullahi Adamu's ouster as APC chairman and the fate of the governing party. Well, it is no more news. And of course, it is now confirmed that the governing All Progressive Congress now has a new leadership. The deputy national chairman of the party, not Senator Kyari, took over the reins of power leadership in APC. And of course, the deputy national secretary of the party, Festus Fanta, took over as the acting national secretary following the resignation of the SY national chairman, Abdullahi Adamu, and the former national secretary, Iyiola Omisore. Of course, this has actually generated some kind of unrest within the polity in a couple of days, because whatever happens to the governing party touches the lives of all Nigerians. Adamu was said to have resigned his position on Sunday after a meeting with the governor of Imo State and the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, the platform for APC governors elected on the platform of the APC. And report has it that Adamu was advised by the Imo governor, Hope Uzodinma, to resign honorably than to face disgrace at the NEC meeting that was billed to hold for tomorrow after a national caucus meeting today. The national caucus meeting and the NEC meeting of the party, which was billed for 10th and 11th of July, was later postponed to today and tomorrow. And following the developments in the party that led to a change of guard, the NEC and national caucus meeting was again postponed, perhaps in order to pave way for the alignment, the adjustment, and at least to confer properly with the president, who was arrived in the country yesterday from Kenya, where he attended a program of the African Union. There are reports also that saying that Adamu resigned on the directive, orders of the president. Chibuzo, that might not even be a lie, because there's a way you resign, and then it might come in form of a message advising you to do the needful and for you to face this. And I hope most Nigerians believe that they're buying into that report, that perhaps it could have been Tinubu who would have said to tell that man to resign, or else then the governor of Imo State now comes subtly passing the message and saying, my brother, come see what I will advise you to do. And at the end of the day, the position now that it was political vendetta. What do you think about the whole?
Well, let me just set a few things. In our political sphere as of today, there is no difference between the kind of intra-politics we are experiencing in the PDP, in APC, and what we experienced in PDP since 1999.
They tend to be towing
And
the
that
same
is
pattern.
why many people say with all confidence that the PDP and APC are just
Two sides of
two
the
sides
coin.
of same coin. Now, having said that, no, let me give some more context to why people think that way. It is because immediately a president emerges, the president becomes the leader of the party. And in most cases, whatever he decides stays or manifests. Let me use that word. In a case where you don't have a president, the next most influential bloc becomes the governors, the College of Governors,
The College of
who
Governors.
call the shots within the party, because primarily they have all of the instruments of power to do so. In the case of the president, of course, as commander in chief and all of that, he has all of the instruments of power to call the shots within the party. And so every other structure within the party defers to him. Now, in the specific instance of Adamu, it is obvious that Adamu wouldn't have resigned if the president didn't give the nod for that to happen. And I think the signs were clear, that the president was not going to allow him to stay in office for any longer than he has served. When a party decides to choose principal officers in the National Assembly, which usually is the preserve of the political party, and the executive, the president, the National Assembly, the party does the president and the presiding officers do that without taking into confidence the national chairman of the party or the party hierarchy. Then, if you're the party chairman, you should know that your time is up.
Of course.
And that was what we saw. In fact, for me, that was the first clear indication that Adamu's days when he was national chairman, and he made it obvious too when he came out and said when he heard about the announcement of the principal officer, it sounded like a rumor to him. Because being a parliamentarian, a former lawmaker himself, he understands that ought to be a pronouncement from the party
and not from the national
the other way. So that was a clear indication for some of us that he was not going to stay much longer. But he made it easy, even though he would have been pushed out in any way if the president wants to out. But he made it a lot more easy to justify that process. One, the obvious one was the role he played in not supporting, the president during the primaries supported Lawan, and the way he went about it, and then the much more damaging one, which is the accounting problem, the accountability crisis.
They say he who goes to equity must go with clean.
Exactly.
You are doing all these things, challenging.
You can't account for.
You can't even account for how you are even governing the party.
That came to the party under your.
In fact, sorry to cut you before you continue. What the truth of the matter is that even NWC members too are not happy with him.
Exactly.
Because according to the national vice chairman Northwest, Salihu Lukman, he said that Adamu had been running the party like a garrison commander, where you sit down, just take decision without consulting other members of the NWC. And it became so bad that at a meeting where he was asked, okay, where is the financial report we are going to present to NEC? Instead of bringing a detailed report, Adamu was said to have just brought one sheet of they call executive summary.
Again,
that caused problem between.
You have to put put some bit of context into that. Why did Adamu display such powerful? Why did he have such powerful stance within the party? It's very clear. Under the Buhari administration, if you recall, Buhari gave powers of the National Executive Committee, which is the second highest ranking body of the party.
And not just only NEC powers, even the powers of the National Caucus.
No, of course, the caucus is the second largest,
of course,
after the National Convention.
Yes.
The convention is the highest decision-making body. They followed by the
caucus.
Followed by the NEC. Yes.
And then
the
caucus.
What the caucus does, the caucus is more like an informal arrangement where the key members take all the decisions, but it has to be ratified by the NEC so that it becomes
recognized
more like a law
by law.
In
line with the party's constitution.
So when you have the former president, give the NWC that kind of power, the power that should accrue to the NEC, to the National Working Committee, then this is what you get. And we also saw a situation where Adamu emerged in a way that was quite intimidating for other lawmakers. Exactly. So
your imposition.
So when Adamu got that kind of express powers, he felt he could do and undo. So that is the manifestation
that was under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari.
It was already late.
Leadership, and of course, where you have tainted your your hands
Yes.
already, because the new man who is the leader of the party, President Tinubu, already has you in mind.
Exactly.
So that his ouster was even a fait accompli
It was.
that was doomed to happen.
Exactly.
But what I agree with you is that Adamu helped in even making it easy
It made it very easy for him to be kicked out.
for his removal to be
But
justified.
I think, and this discussion has been going on for a very long time, that the Adamu scenario is yet a reminder, for the political class and the political system, that we need to rethink party administration, how our parties are administered, and restructure or give a reorientation as to the place of political party in our political climate. I say this because in other climes the party is supposed to be supreme. The place of the party has to be very clear, and then the place of the executive and government has to be very clear. We in the Second Republic, that many people refer to often, we used to see that the party chairman was as powerful, even more powerful than the president when it came to party matters. But today,
That's what we
you don't
refer
seem
to
to
as
have that.
party supremacy.
Exactly. But today, we don't seem to have that. When the people calling the shots are either the governors and it is because the financial burden of these parties are purely carried by these two influential blocks, which is not supposed to be so. As a party member, there should be dues paid. There should be dues paid that should be managed by the party, such that it now gives the party the audacity to confront even the president, particularly when the party's manifesto are not being carried along. But you don't see that these days. So the key place of the political party appears to have been emasculated because of these issues. And so because of that, it affords whoever is national chairman to be at the pleasure of either the president or the committee or the block of college of governors, depending on who each of these two key people are calling the shots within the party at any particular time. And so we see that's why we've seen over the years since 99, immediately the governor, set of committee of governors or the president becomes disenchanted with the national chairman, he strikes his they or he strikes his finger and the person is off. And the new person comes in and he continues from where the other one stopped. And then when he falls out of favor again, his finger is snapped and that has serious negative implication on our political system because it distorts the quality of what the party should do and the stability of the party in ensuring that it holds to account managers of its manifesto for governance, and that ultimately affects the Nigerian people.
Well, we were talking about, they say this thing started in the PDP when Obasanjo was president. I will recall how Awudogbi and the rest were just moving. Very funny. Awudogbi's own case was even that it was over a very hot meal of pounded yam. After that, Obasanjo now told him, all right, come sign. You are leaving the party. But at the end of the day, I think under the Buhari administration too, the party lost its supremacy, its influence, because the way the Buhari went about it was a matter that at a point you see a president who is completely aloof from his own party, and even when it comes to the party, what he does is all about imposition.
Exactly.
The way Adamu even came into office,
Exactly.
and now he's even going as the shortest serving national chairman in the history of this country, because within just a space of last year and this year, one would have just imagined, although we know that Adamu wouldn't have survived it because of the role he played
Exactly.
in the presidential primary where Tinubu managed to merge. But now there is a tax for President Tinubu here, in as much as we all know that yes, he had taken advantage of the fact that Adamu himself is not even a good manager of a governing party like the APC, to actually vent his anger on the man who almost wanted to truncate his presidential bid. But I think it behoves on President Tinubu now to see how he can now reorganize the governing party, give it that touch and that posture that the way a political party is supposed to be, like we have in the United States, where we have the Republicans and the Democrats. What do you think should be the next thing Tinubu should think of? in terms of reorganizing the party to give the party the kind of structure it requires?
The fact of
Just
the
briefly before
the
we
fact
go,
of
because it's really
the fact of the matter, as far as I'm concerned, is that the party is only going to take the nature of the most influential person within its fold, and that is the president. The nature of the president is you ultimately define the character of the party, whether you like it or not, because the party is going to function at the pace that the president wants it to function. Don't forget that Tinubu has always been a politician, and he has shown his capacity to be a politician with perhaps more than 9 lives. We've seen the way he transited through the Ladeco struggle days and becoming governor and all that. So, of course, and he has also he has also birthed and groomed a political party in the past. If you remember, after AD died, he started the AC.
of course,
And he groomed it into the ACN.
Tinubu is even the brainchild of APC.
Exactly. One states and all of that. So you would naturally know that he will be, one, very much interested in how the party is managed, unlike the former president. So he'll be hands-on, no doubt about that. But what that will translate to will be a matter of conjecture. Yes, will be a matter of conjecture. And then
by his style.
And then it will further become clear when the successor to Adamu emerges. Who he chooses will also give an indication of the direction Tinubu wants to take the party to. Bearing in mind also that he will also be looking at 2027, where he might likely contest, the second term. So the conjecture is still, still broad and open. But one thing is clear: he's not going to run a laid back. He's going to be very much hands-on.
Well, our in-house analyst Chibuzo has actually said it all. The ball is in Tinubu's court, President Tinubu's court, to actually bring the party back on the path of what a democratic party ought to be. And of course, in the coming days, we will see how it plays out, especially when it comes to who eventually emerges as a replacement for the embattled former national chairman of the party, Abdullahi Adamu. Well, that is the much we can take for today's edition of The Big Issue. And of course, I want to actually thank our viewers out there for keeping tab with us. And of course, I will not go by without thanking our in-house analyst, Chibuzo, for addressing the big issue. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of this program. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio.